Shiki might seem like an average lifeless high schooler, but on a fateful day, when his only family is unplugged right before his eyes, a mysterious power awakens within him, transforming him into an uncontrollable demon. Turns out he's not alone, and many others possess this very power. With their help, he joins a school for demons, desperate to learn how to control his power so that he can take revenge on his enemies. The story begins with a desperate man named Samidare, standing under rain that looks like blood. He begs his senpai to kill the child as well, warning that he'll regret it later if he doesn't. But his senpai doesn't believe he made any mistake by sparing the innocent child, so he walks away from the scene. The child belongs to a tribe of demons that existed long, long ago. These demons once terrorized mankind, making millions feel powerless, but one strong-willed man dared to fight back. He was Momotaro, a legendary swordsman who single-handedly slaughtered hundreds of Onis, igniting an endless war between him and the entire Oni tribe, the same war that caused this incident. 15 years pass after this event. The scene shifts to the second floor of a liquor store owned by the Ichinos family. That floor serves as the bedroom of a high schooler named Shiki Ichinos, who also happens to own a suspiciously large collection of guns. He's on a call with a friend, proudly telling him he just got expelled for getting into a fight. His friend, feeling guilty, blames himself since the fight happened because Shiki stepped in to save him, but Shiki tells him not to worry, saying it's nobody's fault, then hangs up. Shiki's father, Tsuyoshi, storms in, furious after hearing the news, and smacks his useless son hard on the head. Shiki doesn't care in the slightest and tells his dad not to break a sweat over something so trivial, but to Tsuyoshi, it's far from trivial. He tries to teach Shiki a lesson, but how can he when the kid has the reflexes of 1,000 monkeys? Tsuyoshi calms down and asks why Shiki has turned his bedroom into a GTA gun store. Shiki tells him to shut up and reply and changes the topic, asking if it's true that the liquor store is going out of business, as he's heard Tsuyoshi's customers are vanishing day by day. Tsuyoshi's awkward silence confirms it and trying to save his face. He mocks Shiki, calling him an expelled punk who's no better. Shiki is hurt this time, so he gets serious and tells his dad that no matter what happened, he'll become successful one day and never turn out to be a total loser like him. He doesn't stop there and twists the knife even deeper, saying the only thing that gives him peace is knowing they're not related by blood. That stings bad, so Tsuyoshi leaves the room and heads back to the store downstairs. There, the telephone rings and a customer wants some beer delivered to his house, so Tsuyoshi heads out, but not before pausing for a moment to look at a childhood photo of Shiki, showing that he does love him. Meanwhile, Shiki is still pissed off and mutters that his life would have been way better if some rich guy had adopted him instead of this washed-up old man. To vent out his frustration, he grabs one of his guns and points it at the target on the wall, but just as he is about to pull the trigger, a loud explosion shakes the building. He looks out the window to see what happened when out of nowhere a shadowy force grabs his legs and drags him down to the street. The man behind this attack is revealed to be Samidare, the same man we saw at the beginning of the story, who has some kind of dark power at his disposal. He approaches Shiki, asking for his name to confirm his identity. But before Shiki can answer, Tsuyoshi crashes into Samidare with his car and shouts for Shiki to get in. They speed away, and on the way, Tsuyoshi says their only chance survival is to leave the country immediately. Shiki has no idea what's going on. He asks if Samidare is a loan shark or something, and even if he is, crashing into him seems a bit excessive. He's worried his dad is going to get arrested for attempted murder or worse, actual murder. Tsuyoshi tells him to shut up for once, saying Samidare isn't dead, and Shiki asks how the hell he can be so sure. They have no time, but Tsuyoshi knows that if he doesn't explain what's going on, his idiot son won't shut up, so he starts explaining, dropping a heavy bomb casually, that Shiki is a descendant of the demon Oni tribe, and Samidare is a descendant of Momotaro, which makes them born rivals. Shiki doesn't believe it, but there's no time for further explanation. Samidare catches up, pierces their car with his sword and engulfs it with black mist. Losing vision, they have no other choice but to escape the vehicle, and just as they do so, the car explodes. At that moment, the black mist grabs Shiki and drags him to a nearby warehouse. There, Samidare reveals himself to Shiki and tells him not to take it because it is just his job to exterminate Oni-born pests like him. Tsuyoshi comes in, explaining to Shiki the current situation he's in. He reminds Shiki of the legend of the 1,000-year war between Momotaro and the Oni, a story Shiki had heard from his dad many times during his childhood. Tsuyoshi states that after Momotaro passed away, the war continued as his descendants joined together and formed an organization whose sole purpose was to slay all demons. That organization is now known as the Momotaro Agency, and Samidare, being a descendant, is a member of that agency. Tsuyoshi himself was once a member, drawing his own black mist sword to defend against Samidare. According to Tsuyoshi, all descendants of Momotaro are blessed by an unknown force that allows them to summon this black mist, which they use to slay Onis. Samidare mockingly refers to Tsuyoshi as his senpai, which hurts Tsuyoshi's feeling as Samidare has betrayed him, but technically it is Tsuyoshi who has betrayed his own family by adopting a freaking Oni child. In the meantime, Shiki is having a hard time believing what's unfolding right before his eyes. His loser father is a descendant of Momotaro, who for some reason thought it was a great idea to adopt his natural enemy. Samidare calls out Tsuyoshi for that exact reason, telling him that he will be exterminated alongside Shiki for betraying his own kind, but Tsuyoshi doesn't care and charges at Samidare, engaging in a battle whose outcome will decide who is right. Samidare, being much younger, gains the upper hand, dodging Tsuyoshi's attack with swift speed, before landing 2 direct strikes on him. As Tsuyoshi falls to the ground, bleeding profusely, Shiki screams, begging Samidare to stop. Samidare looks at Shiki and tells him to stay quiet until it's his turn to die. Tsuyoshi, with his last bit of strength, grabs Samidare's foot, which frustrates Samidare even more, as he's never understood why this man did so much to protect a freaking Oni. Tsuyoshi, in reply, states that a father doesn't need any reason to protect his son. He begs Samidare to spare Shiki's life, promising that Shiki has never hurt anyone in his life and never will. As Tsuyoshi's words begin to shake Samidare's resolve, he draws his sword with the intent to shut his senpai up permanently. Shiki's eyes split open. He wonders to himself why he is hung there helpless when his father is dying. He becomes angry. His anger gets uncontrollable and his eyes start getting red and closing. He feels he must do something and he must do it right now. He suddenly starts feeling his body change suspiciously. He gets uncontrollable and his body drips blood. The entire black rope that is used to tie him gets bloody and breaks out. Samidare notices that something is moving behind him, and by the time he turns to the back to see, he sees that Shiki has broken free. He looks around for the boy and finds him on the roof, covered in blood. Shiki jumps to fight him and he dodges. He is used to fighting Onis, so seeing Shiki isn't shocking to him. He sees that Shiki has finally awoken as an Oni, and Onis fight by manipulating blood. However, that isn't the most fearful thing about Onis, and that isn't the reason they kill Onis. The reason they kill Onis is because they have uncontrollable emotions and they are a loss to humanity. He sets out to fight Shiki, who has lost control of himself. When he tries to make the first attempt at Shiki, Shiki dodges him. Shiki's body manipulates several weapons and shoots Samidare with them. Samidare dodges all of the bullets, but the missile that Shiki throws at him is so strong that he couldn't even find his way. I didn't expect that Shiki would be this strong. He continues fighting without even knowing what he is doing. He finally gets a hold of Samidare and hits him. He puts his hands on his head and attacks him. The entire building gets destroyed by the weight of his power. After an almost done fight, he takes a step back. Shockingly, Samidare doesn't die either. His head just has a black sign. He stands up with a renewed hope of killing Shiki and getting the world rid of Onis. As he walks towards Shiki, Shiki steps back and starts screaming. He gets a hold of his body again and is shocked that he is the one doing all of that. He screams and wonders in confusion. Shiki looks at his hand and wonders if he is the one. His hands are bigger and there is blood all over him. There are several questions in his mind that beg for answers, but he doesn't even have answers to them. Samidare isn't shocked that he feels that way. The state of confusion and loss of memory is something that is very common with Onis when they change. He doesn't pity Shiki's condition, he just wants to eradicate him. When is the best time to attack Shiki if not now that he is in a state of confusion and disarray? So Samidare brings out his sword again and sets out to attack Shiki. He stabs someone and at that moment, even Shiki assumes he is dead. Fortunately for Shiki, Tsuyoshi still has enough strength to defend him, so he had run there and taken the sword for his dear son. Samidare is angry. He asks Tsuyoshi if he still feels the need to defend the boy after he saw how deadly the boy had become when he awoke. I guess a father's love can never be replaced. With his breath shaking, he remembers when Shiki was a child and how Shiki called him dad. He hears Shiki calling him dad again and he smiles to himself. Samidare wonders how far he will go to protect the blood of an Oni and asks questions in his heart as to how important he is. Tsuyoshi smiles to himself as he concludes that it is at least nice for him to be happy for a while. The collapsed building calls for speculation and talks around the city. Everyone starts gathering around to know what is happening, and they wonder if it is either a gas eruption or otherwise. Samidare doesn't want to call attention to himself, so he disappears. This leaves Tsuyoshi and Shiki enough time to have their final reunion. Shiki holds his father, hoping that his father survives, while Tsuyoshi is just apologetic about the fact that he didn't tell Shiki about his birth. He admits that he should have told Shiki about his blood, but didn't have a good way to tell his son that he will be chased by Momotaro all the days of his life and he has to fight. However, he leaves Shiki with advice as to how he can survive. He reminds Shiki that he will be alone from that day and begs him to get stronger so he can escape from both the Momotaro and the Onis. With this, he gives up the ghost. Shiki cannot believe that his entire life had ended in front of him. Just a few minutes ago, he was still teasing his father and everything suddenly changed. He screams that he still has a lot of things to do with Tsuyoshi. He wants to apologize to him for saying he isn't his blood, and he has a lot to say. When Tsuyoshi doesn't respond, he cries. Before he can grieve well, a man sneaks behind him and slaps his neck. He faints immediately as the man tells him that he is a fool for letting someone sneak in on him. Meanwhile, at Momotaro's headquarters, the elders talk about how Samidare had gone to fight without their consent or prior notice, and they wonder if the Momotaro has gotten weaker. They insist that they cannot let honest in the midst of humans, and they have to ensure they eradicate them all without allowing humans to get suspicious of them. Wait, who are these ones that are tied up here? Well, watch out. The boy that had hit Shiki earlier, Nato, calls his principal. His principal congratulates him for getting one of them into the school, and you can see his principal is so excited about it. Even if he also claims not to be excited, it seems like he is. His principal asks about the others he has gotten, and he talks about Shiki, claiming that he doesn't know if Shiki will be worth it. Will Shiki be worth it eventually?